Okay, this is pretty much the final step besides setting up the trim, working on the nut. But as far as the assembly, the neck. So I've got my neck plate here, authentic Fender neck plate, and I'm only seeing 3 screws for some weird reason. Oh, here's the 4th one. Okay, so I have my 4 screws, 4 long screws. I'm going to put wax on those just in case, because I haven't gone into the neck yet with anything. This is a beautiful neck. And Toby did all the drilling for me and lined everything up beautifully. And so I'm going to put this here. Just get a little bit of this in here. I don't know if it's going to make a difference or help, but it just makes me feel better. Okay, so I really like the neck pocket fit I ended up getting with this guitar. It's really good. Goes in very nicely. So from what I understand, you're not supposed to push it in from the top. You're supposed to kind of place it down nice and easy and just push down with your hand there and let it lock into place. Alright, so here we go. Got this. I don't want to bang it on the ceiling over here. This is all looking good. Here we go. Did you hear all that thumping last night?
Mm-hmm.
I could never find what that was. Very ghostly.
Yeah.
Was kind of the conclusion I came to. Okay, so now I'm just finishing up this bolting on. I kind of turned it this way because it was kind of bumping up on 2 of the screws. But once I loosened them and reset it, it dropped right into place. So once again, I'm not making these too tight. I'm just making sure that we have a good connection with the wood, obviously. Because remember, once the strings are on there, that's a lot of what holds the neck in place, is those strings. Okay, let me back off just a little bit. Just kind of go around. Do not want this to be too tight. If it's too tight, you'll crack the wood. And it's not the best for tone transfer. So one of the things I've just kind of thought of is I'm getting it tight enough to hold the plate in place, but not cranking down, if that makes sense. And then I just kind of go around and back off a little and see if it needs to be backed off or does it need to be tightened down. And so far, so good. We're looking good here. There. And I'm assuming that this connection will have to be adjusted a few times as the guitar gets used to having things attached to it, as the weather changes and humidity fluctuates, and once it gets the stress of the strings on here. Okay, so there's still a lot to do, and that I'm going to have to adjust the bridge, with an Allen wrench. But what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and string it up, and I'll go ahead and attach the trim bar up, but I'll string it up. And the only thing that I do that's worth watching with stringing, if you've seen any of my videos or if you watched my video series where I set up a Stratocaster, that red Strat, any of those other Squire videos I have on the channel, you will notice that I have a video about changing the strings and putting strings on 4-trim guitar, for a Fender Strat, or for any guitar that has a trim, because I use it on this one as well. And it's kind of my default stringing method now without a trim. It just seems to work so well. But I'm going to string it up. I'll show you how to do that in case you haven't watched those videos and you don't want to go back and look at those. But I think that is a big, you know, people talk about the nut, people talk about locking tuners, they talk about this, they talk about that. And this method, I think it was originally a Martin method, but I found it on a site where a guy, it was I think a New Zealand website about guitars, about Strats. And once I tried that method, it opened up everything, and I've never had trouble getting one of these to stay in tune. I've been able to use the trim, have it go back in tune, especially to get through a set. Now, of course, you're going to have to tune the guitar. I'm not saying it's like a Floyd Rose where it's locked down or anything like that, but playable. And many times I can pull it back into tune by just picking up the bar a little bit, especially with the Duesenberg. I don't know why that is, but that one you can kind of pull back into tune just by picking it up or maybe pushing it down a little, you know, by ear. But I've been successful, at least enough for me, to use a Strat trim and not have it go out of tune and have it, you know, have it work. So that's why I wanted to use the 6-screw trim and this stringing method, which I think really does work. So I'll show you how to do that. You have to have the normal. You can't have locking tuners, and you can't have the vintage style where the string goes in. It might work, I just don't know if it does or not. I know this way works, where you go through the post, and I'll show you in the next video. So anyway, an assembled guitar, how about that? And it really wasn't hard because Toby, of course, did all the heavy lifting. Man, this looks so good. Wow, I'm loving it. All right, I'll see you, we'll put strings on it next, and I'll show you that little stringing method.